Guten Morgen, meinen Freunden. How are we doing? Sam here, United People's TV. It's Monday morning. It's the day after Ralf Rangnick's first game in charge of Manchester United. It's the day after our first clean sheet at Old Trafford this season. The transformation was quite significant, I think, is a fair way to describe it. It was more than I think any of us really genuinely would have expected. And yeah, it's got me excited about what's coming up this season. What I'm going to talk about in today's show, I'm going to run through a few stats from the game against Crystal Palace. I'm going to run through some comments and quotes from Rangnick himself. I'm going to take a look at a few individual players. We're going to be having conversations about Fred this morning. We're going to be having conversations about Diogo Dalot this morning. And I'm also going to take a look at a really cool article that came out from The Athletic over the weekend, which sort of has a lot of quotes from players who have worked under Rangnick. And it gives us a real insight into what's going on the training ground and what will be going on the training ground at Manchester United. Because, mate, that performance against Crystal Palace, people are going to be looking at us go, "Hey, you just beat Crystal Palace 1-0. Yeah, the same Crystal Palace team that's, beat City 2-0 this season, didn't they? But when was the last time United won 1-0 and just controlled the game? As I said, Ralf Rangnick doesn't have to come into Manchester United and do anything groundbreaking. He just has to reassert the foundations and the fundamentals. And that's what that performance against Crystal Palace was. It was a game of pure fundamentals that United just executed properly. And there was one huge difference. Before I do head on to that, I'll head down to the comments, see who's joining in. Mallory, good morning to you, watching over on Facebook. Lads, I can see plenty of the mods down there in the comments, as I always do. Good morning to all of you mods. Good morning to all of you members. Mate, it's a big smile on my face here. And this is why. This stat here, I'm sure you've all seen it now. Manchester United won the ball back 12 times in the opposition's final third. That's the most they've done that in a single game, Premier League game, since Fergie retired. That's incredible. Right, that's almost mind-bogglingly incredible. No, how in the world has that sort of impact happened off the back of one training session? As I said, one, and it wasn't even a full training session. Rangnick was saying, like, seriously, like, I know there's rain, and then there was the rain that we had. It was truly, yeah, really took me by surprise. That I was expecting an upward turn, right? I was expecting an upward curve, but not on the level that we saw against Crystal Palace. And by that I mean just the consistency of it. I expected there to be patches where United were good, and then patches where United just fell out, and the game got away from us. I thought that for the first 45 minutes, it was total control. If you're looking at probably between 45 and 60 minutes, that was the period where Crystal Palace looked like they were starting to creep into the game. They got a little bit more joy. United replaced the controlledness with a little bit of sloppiness in the start of that second half, but then we turned it back around. Rangnick made some positive substitutions. Greenwood coming on, thought that was a right call. And Man United, well, Fred with his right foot came up with an absolute perler. And then United, it's not as if, because we've been in this position before under, Solskjaer, under Mourinho, where we're one goal up going into the last 10 to 15 minutes of games, and then we're just like backs against the wall, right? Backs against the wall, and it's that sort of deep defending, then just pumping it forward and deep defending, and you're like, oh my God, I know what's coming, and then it comes. And then it came. That it wasn't that case. It was, of course, it was a nervy last 5 minutes, wasn't it? Because Manchester United were under a little bit of pressure. Crystal Palace were aggressively going forward quite a bit. And I was nervous. I was tense. I was nervous that last 5 minutes. But still, it was just, it was a game that Manchester United made look simple. Ultimately, it wasn't simple. Otherwise, Solskjaer and everyone else would have done that system first. But incredibly impressed by how composed, controlled, and, as I said, how easy Manchester United's players made it look. Fred was wonderful, says MD. I'll be speaking about Fred soon for sure. There's a couple of super chats firing in here, so I'll read these out first for you. Gungshi, good morning to you, buddy. Thank you very much for this one. Hi, Sam. On my way to help my dad celebrate his 81st birthday, so I'll check out the show later. What a great performance yesterday. All hail Ralphie. Well, happy birthday to Senior Gungshi. I hope you have a great day, my friend. Send my best wishes to him. And yeah, it was all hail Ralf Angel up there. Let's go down here. Here's a comment from Thomas. Good morning to you, Tom. Good morning, Sam and everyone. Can we just have a big clap for Ralf? Webcam, where's it? Where's a little applause on here? I think we've got an applause. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. I really like this guy. He's a good way of speaking in the media, and I think he will do good. As I told you, man, if Rangnick had an audio book, I'd probably fall asleep to it. That's the sort of, he's just got that sort of calming, soothing voice, and you listen to what he's saying. You really do listen. Comment here from Renil coming in. Morning, buddy. I'd rather take a controlled 1-0 win against Palace than a 5-0 blasting against Cardiff. I mean, I do like 5-0s. As former could be a norm in the Premier League, while the latter is an exception, and everyone else gets falsely giddy. That's a fair comparison. There is nothing more professional in football than winning 1-0, right? It's kind of like the ultimate professional performance. You only need 1 goal to win it. You keep a clean sheet. You stay tight and compact. And it was the control of it all. The control, man. It's what I said. I got my team spot on. My predicted 11 for the game was absolutely bang on the money. And the team was bang on the money. And it felt like, as I said, I think I said it at halftime. I said, it feels like the sort of performance that we used to see so often from Manchester United under Fergie at Old Trafford. Just against a team like Crystal Palace or West Brom or Norwich or Aston Villa. Those games where you go into it as a fan and you're looking at it going, well, United should be winning this quite easily. And those sorts of banker fixtures, those ones you go, right, 3 points there, done. They've been a rarity. They kind of like have disappeared off the face of the earth in the last few years. That's what that felt like against Crystal Palace yesterday. In that first 45 minutes, we were just constantly knocking on the door, just louder and louder and louder. And it felt like the goal was inevitable, and it was going to come and going to come. And then in the second half, I was like, oh no, playing slightly differently. But then it came and we got what we deserved. And the thing I really, really liked about it is that Manchester United, at no point during that game did we panic. At no point during that game did we try and unnecessarily speed up our football or try and change something. It was like everybody had an assurance about themselves that, you know, if we just continue what we're doing, we will score a goal. And as I said, that sort of confidence and that sort of assurance was fantastic. And I'll tell you what I did love as well was RANGNICK'S celebration. He enjoyed it, man. He enjoyed it. Remember, he stepped out of management for what, 2 years, 2 and a bit years now. I know he's got a littered career. He's got a long and esteemed career, but he hasn't managed for a couple of years, so he hasn't had that feeling for a couple of years. And Old Trafford, I tell you what, Old Trafford is going to love him. Or you're saying this is like being in a stable relationship. Roller coaster ones are the worst. The highs are highs and the lows are really low. We just want stability and growth. As I said, we want to go. All we want to do now is get on that ski lift. Just get on that. That ski lift is slow as hell, but it's constantly going upwards. At no point is it going to fall. I mean, if it does, well, obviously, there's fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But it should just constantly be heading in the right direction, and ultimately will get you towards your goal. And it will do it in its own time, do it in its own pace, consistent. That's what it is. That's what we need to. That's what we need it to be. And I'll tell you what. That game there against Crystal Palace has filled me with some serious hope now about what we've got coming next. I'm probably going to do a video on this. I mean, because the games are coming thick and fast, I'm going to have to do my starting 11 for the young boys. I think we play young boys on Wednesday, don't we? Let me check. So I'm going to have to do my predicted 11 video. Yeah, we play young boys on Wednesday. So to give you a little insight into what's coming this week, I'm going to be doing a video later today. I'm going to speak about it briefly in this video, but I want to do a specific video on this. I'm going to look at Rangnick explaining his 4-2-2, his 4-2-2 system. Right? It's what I thought he was going to play. It's what he did play. And speaking after the game, he really went in and explained it properly. Speaking about his tactics, You know, and that goes to show the sort of assurance and confidence that he has in himself. Some managers, they won't want to speak about their tactics. They won't want to sort of let someone peep in their house. But if you're so confident and assured about your own tactics and your own setup, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not as if the analysts from the other team aren't going to be able to go, well, he's playing this system and X, Y, Z, so they're going to do it anyway. But hearing him speak about it so confidently, yeah, it filled me with even more assurance. I'm going to head down to the comments here and see what you're saying. Palace is semi-decent, says Zippy Penguin. Beat City, as I said, Palace have had some cracking results. They might have lost a couple of games coming into this match yesterday, but under Vieira, Palace have had if you ask Palace fans, they're all going to say it's been a very good season so far. Let's go up here. Ralph at the wheel, says Andy. Well, I tell you what, he's got a lovely mahogany wheel. And you're saying, I'm really hoping we can go on a run now, especially with the key players leaving for the African Cup of Nations as well. Mate, we've got a hell of a couple of months coming up now. Paula, you're still buzzing after the match yesterday. The performance after less than a full training session. That's what I can't get my head around, man. I can't get my head around the fact that came after 45 minutes. 1 45-minute session in the rain, because we had the game against Arsenal on Thursday, and then we had that training session on Friday. He was announced, and then he would have had players there, but the players who played against Arsenal wouldn't have trained that day, would have had a day off, recovery day. So we have 1 full training session on Saturday morning, 45 minutes. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And I tell you what feels so good about this, and this is something that we have to speak about. I haven't actually spoken about it yet on United People's TV, but this was something Everest said. It was after Arsenal. After Arsenal, he said this. He said, United have a DNA. Let me see if I can just play this for you. I don't know how loud it's going to be now. Should be all right.
That's why, like, I don't agree. Like, United have a DNA, have a way to play. So now we're going to be based on Rangnick's style of play. Where's the history of my club?
That mentality there is exactly the problem that Manchester United have had for so long, right? United have a DNA. Now we're going to be based on Rangnick's style of play. Mate, what the hell is United DNA if the last few years are anything to go by? If the last few years are anything to go by, our DNA is losing and not winning a goddamn thing. Evra's wrong there. Evra's mentality there is idealistic and not based in reality. And it's, I would probably go as far as to say it's delusional. And it's, as I said, it's been a problem at Manchester United for some time, but a problem that this man is going to be able to sort of slowly push out of the door, right? Hell yeah, I want to be playing in the Rangnick style of play. I want to be playing in a style of play. Like, where the DNA of our club is based around winning. That is the core of it in the modern day anyway. It's obviously it's based around the youth. It's based around building from within. It's based around ultimately getting that towards trophies and success. And Fergie brought the sort of level of sustained success that we've never seen previously, and we never will see again. But Evra saying that's the attitude that Rangnick that this is the attitude that's been inside Manchester United's dressing room and board and club for so long, and it was our greatest strength at one point, right? It was our greatest strength. That DNA and everything that we had was our greatest strength, but that's now been lost. And now Rangnick and someone like Rangnick is going to come in and re-establish it. Maltz, you're saying screw the DNA. I want to see the change for the better. And Akbar, you're saying the DNA died the day that Fergie left. The DNA is still there somewhere, right? But we need to re-find ourselves as a football club. And that's, now, yesterday was great. Yesterday was the sort of performance that you see from like established, just, you know, a professional football team should be able to put in the same sort of performances week in, week out, like bang, bang. Oh, 1-0, cool. All right, 1-0 over there. Oh, 2-0 over there. Just games that at the end of the season, you won't look back and watch the full 90 minutes back. But when you're watching it, you're like, yeah, man, it looks like they know what they're doing. They look like they went to the training ground, practiced certain things, and now they've just applied it onto the pitch. And that's not the Manchester United that we've seen under Solskjaer. We never really saw that under Solskjaer. And that's just being fair, because United could come out under Solskjaer and put in an absolute shift and put in a brilliant performance. You'd be like, where did that come from? And then a few days later, our asses could fall out. And you'd be like, how in the world is that the same team that played 3 days ago? And this is going to be a crucial thing that we see here. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be another element of Rangnick that I really want to see in terms of football. We play Young Boys in 3 days' time. And then we've got Norwich on Saturday at 5:30. 5:30 kickoff on Saturday, by the way. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Anyway, I want to see, there's obviously going to be big rotation against Young Boys on Wednesday. It's a dead rubber Champions League game. It's a match where, as I said, we've got Norwich a few days later. That's the important one. So he's going to rotate. And the thing I've always said, under Solskjaer, when you played your starting 11, you might not have seen a huge style and identity, but you knew it was I think you knew it was a Solskjaer team. But when you took certain players out, we'd almost play a completely different style of football. That's what I don't want to see against Young Boys. I think we will make quite a few changes. Maybe we'll probably see a Langer start. He's obviously been impressing. But I want to see that sort of system and that sort of style that we saw against Crystal Palace, against Young Boys, no matter who is in the starting 11. And that's crucial. That if you're looking at DNA, and that's a DNA. The DNA has to exist between, doesn't matter who's on the pitch, you play the same way. That's something we haven't really done before. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Thomas, what you're saying, he said, this step with Ralf is a huge step for the Glazers. He can be our director of football for the summer and then getting TenHOG. Yes, please. That would be lovely. And also TenHOG at the weekend. Not sure if you saw his quotes. Let me see if I can pull them up, actually. TenHOG is a man who, up until this point, really, whenever he's been linked with, or whenever he's been asked about jobs, Manchester United job, any other job, he has always distanced himself from speaking about it, hasn't he? He's always just sort of like kept himself to himself, not really got too involved in the conversation. That changed at the weekend. This comment here. Thanks for bringing that up, Tom. Good point. So TenHOG here, he was asked about his possible next move. He said, I believe I'm ready. I would gladly accept that challenge. But it's not that I'm hunting for it. If this step doesn't arrive, I won't say my career has failed, but I believe I have enough skills to accept the challenge. And as I said, look, here, it's a huge shift from TenHOG, given that he's always distanced himself from conversations like that. And I can see the straight away, you can see it. You can see the system that Rangnick is doing and how that could translate and be passed on to TenHOG. But for TenHOG to say that, when previously he's always just sort of said, I'm too busy at Ajax, I'm not speaking about anything, X, Y, Z, for him to say that, I believe I'm ready. Huge shift, that. Huge shift. So I wanted to point that out. Let me go down here. I'll read a few of your comments out. So fire in your comments. Ladies and gents, welcome to United People's TV if you're new. My name's Sam. I'm here 9:30 a.m. Monday to Friday, as well as loads of other content. So you make sure you want to subscribe because it's free. Get involved. Love to. Linville, he's saying he wants a job. I think he won't. Let's find out here. Okay, but a lovely comment there saying, I'm a Poundland Mark Goldbridge. Well, that's an upgrade then. Morning, Sam. Hey, morning, buddy. Morning, Matt. How you doing? Hey, look, TenHOG. I think, well, you know what I think about TenHOG. But we don't have to focus on that. That was just a quote I wanted to pick up there and speak about. Now, as I said, something I really want to speak about, and I will do a separate video on it either today. I've got an interview I'm going to have at 11 o'clock today, so maybe I won't have time. Special bit of content coming up there speaking about Rangnick's coaching staff, because that is and that's an interesting one. Ralim, there's a comment coming in. So, do you think the players threw Ali under the bus? No, I don't really agree with that. Not entirely. The players certainly didn't apply themselves towards the end of Solskjaer, right? That's something I think we can all agree with. But I don't think they threw him under the bus. I just think they were symptomatic of the club and the surroundings that they were in. And that's what I always say about players. And that's why ultimately it always comes down to the manager, because the manager creates that environment. But yeah, every player is sort of symptomatic of whether if the club's in a good position and everything's stable, then the players will be stable and their form will go up and down. But yeah, I don't really think I agree with Roy Keane on that one, to be completely honest. But I want to speak about the 4-2-2, right? It's a formation that Ralf has used a lot in his career. At Hoffenheim, he used more of a 4-3-3, I believe. At Leipzig, he's definitely used a 4-2-2 quite a lot. And he used it yesterday, and we played well. It's not too dissimilar to the 4-2-3-1. You've still got two, instead of two holding midfielders, you have two box-to-box midfielders. It changes the role of the two two central midfielders. And I thought McTominay and Fred did play well yesterday, and I'll be speaking about that. But look, this is what he's saying about the 4-2-2. Randy was saying, for me, the question was, how do we get pressure on the ball? How do we get control? So I decided to play a 4-2-2 with two strikers, not Cristiano Ronaldo alone up front, together with Rashford using pace for vertical balls. And that's exactly what Manchester United did do yesterday. We didn't see Cristiano Ronaldo. We've always said inside that system of a 4-2-3-1, it's a very isolated role for Cristiano Ronaldo up front. And it would work brilliantly if we had two rapid wingers and we really used the wingers and we really used the fullbacks. Ronaldo wouldn't have found himself so isolated in that system. He would have just got on the end of a ton of crosses. But because we weren't doing that enough on the wings, Ronaldo found himself isolated a lot up front. So to play a 4-2-2, first of all, it suits Ronaldo to have someone there alongside him who can do maybe more of the legwork and allow Ronaldo's pressing to be a little bit limited by comparison, but then he uses his energy in the right way. It just worked perfectly. It worked perfectly. And to go on and see some more quotes of what Rangnick said, he explains it in even more detail. It really is fascinating, man. He said that the Bruno and Sancho almost played like wing-backs, especially in the first half. Alex Telles and Diogo Dalot, they did extremely well offensively. And that's why I played the 4-2-2. I'm a big fan of every player plays in his best position. And it really is. It seems so bloody obvious to say it straight away, and it is. But playing players in their best positions will make them better footballers on the pitch. Obviously. But United haven't done that for so long. Geez, how many times have we played Jadon Sancho out on the left wing? How many times have we seen Marcus Rashford out on the right wing? Playing players in their best positions allows them to play their best football. Simple as that. And yesterday, I thought everyone was in the right positions. Bruno Fernandes, everybody. I think Jadon Sancho and Bruno. No. In fact, I'm not going to overly criticize anybody. It was just a very collective and team performance. I think there's some more here. Yeah, Rangnick saying the most challenging, demanding positions in that formation, the 4-2-2, are those two number 10s. But I still think, especially when Palace were in possession, Bruno and Jadon did well. Now, if you were trying to, critique yesterday, if there were things that you still think, okay, right, you can still improve there, what areas would you say? You let me know in the comments, and I'll try and read a few of yours out. But yeah, man, the transformation was pretty whole, if you know what I mean. If you compare, given that it was the exact same starting 11, right? Imagine this. The exact same starting 11 that 3 days earlier played Arsenal and looked like a completely different team. By example, we conceded 2 against Arsenal. It could have been more. We didn't have that sort of control of the game. That's why we were always known as Moments FC, right? Because when you don't control a game, you only work in moments. You have your patches, your purple patches, your one attack here, one attack there. But yesterday it was just like, well, only one team's going to score here. Palace were camped in their half. They couldn't get out. Because we kept winning the ball so high, it meant that they couldn't be organised in defence, and we just kept creating opportunities. Comment there from Atmesh. I completely agree with you, man. From chaos to control. The two C's, the two opposite C's, and we went towards there. I'm going to go down to the comments and see what you think about yesterday and maybe what you think needs to change. Or Scott can't pass, play Donny. Now, I'm going to be speaking about, actually, I may as well pull the quote up now that you said it there. Rangnick, he was pretty happy with their performances yesterday. Said Fred and Scott McTominay were almost perfect when the other team have the ball. Now, that is where Scott McTominay, you will get probably the most out of Scott McTominay. In that position where, I don't have possession, because Scott McTominay is disciplined. He'll stay in the right position. He'll put himself about. He's aggressive. That's the sort of midfielder he is. But as Orr said there, we know that by comparison, Scott McTominay's passing range is limited. I mean, he's more than capable of pinging out like a 30, 40-yard crossfield switch and making it look great. But what he's not so good at is in those tight situations where you got bang, 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 bang. 3-4 quick short passes, incisive one-touch football, moving it around in triangles, creating a little bit of space with just a couple of delicate passes. That's where his limitations will be. So Donny van de Beek came on for Bruno Fernandes, right? I think he'll get plenty of game time this season. If you're looking at a 4-2-2 now, you're looking at 2 positions there, at least, where Donny can play. 3 positions. He could play If you're playing that 4-2-2 and you've got 2 box-to-box midfielders instead of 2 holding midfielders, he can play in either of those roles. He can also play in both of the not number 10 positions, but you know what I mean. The 2 attacking midfielders, what they go down as 8, number 8s? Don't know. Let me go down here and see what else you're saying. The finishing should be improved. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think if United were more clinical, we were 2-0 up before half time for sure. Eugene, this is a strange one actually. Good question. So what was Darren Fletcher doing on the touchline? Bear in mind, Darren Fletcher is a technical director of Manchester United. I think that's his job role. What's he doing? What is he doing there? But I think it's probably more down to the fact that his coaching staff isn't really in yet. And as I said, I'm going to have hopefully more information on that. Let's go on and see what else the boss has been saying. And there is only one player that we can really properly talk about yesterday, and that's Saint Fred, right? Rangnick here saying, I think everybody loves Fred. You have to love Fred. I've got to know him for only 2 days, but he's a sunshine. Oh, it's cute, isn't it? But look, Fred yesterday, man. Let me know what you think about Fred, eh? Let me know what you think about Fred in the comments. I did a little separate video on Facebook, and I was saying, look, man, Christ, you've got to give that guy praise. He has been, I would argue, probably man of the match in 3 of Manchester United's last games, Arsenal and here. Well, I think you could definitely argue it anyway. And Fred's transformation has been not transformation, it's his consistency now, I suppose. Fred's always been capable of performances like that yesterday, even from day one. It's just that, again, if you're looking back at this quote, I think this quote probably applies to Fred more than any other player there yesterday anyway. I'm a big fan of every player playing in his best possible position. That's exactly what we got from Fred yesterday. We got a player who was just thriving inside that box-to-box role. Fred, lo and behold, oh my God, did you know this? He's not a defensive midfielder. Never has been a defensive midfielder. Never will be a defensive midfielder. He is a box-to-box player. That's what he did at Shakhtar Donetsk, and he did so well. And yesterday really was, you saw him on the edge of the box so often, but he's got such a great energy and such a great tank that he'll always run back and cover for himself. It's not as if he'll just leave a huge gaping hole. Fantastic. Fantastic from Fred yesterday. And yeah, Anthony, you're saying I'd have yesterday's Fred every game. Just so inconsistent. That's what he's always got to work on. Last few games, though, give him pure credit here. He has been extremely consistent in the last few games. And then yesterday was just a level up. A level up. Linville saying, would he still get into the City or Liverpool team? Still think there's an upgrade to have. Fair comment. But I think there are way more people ahead of Fred in the queue in terms of being replaced at Manchester United. I think Fred is going to be here for a while. And as I said, there's other players getting out the door before he does. Lafleur saying Fred is not that bad with the right coaching. Good vibes. Happy vibes all round. Happy vibes all round. Or you're saying also Maguire, he played decent. I'll give him that. Harry Maguire is a good defender, okay? I know he's been crap this season, but he is a good defender. Actually, I'll probably say very good defender. He really is. You saw it. You saw it at the Euros, man. You saw how dominant he was, right? And that was at the top, the best level, the highest level, international football in the European Cup final. He's a very good player. Yesterday, we saw the composed and calm Maguire. It's, as I said, every player seemed to know what they were doing yesterday, right? Everyone just knew what they were doing. Maguire and Lindelof, by the way, how good's he been looking in the last few games? A couple of passes in behind. Just both of them are clearly better inside a team which controls the ball rather than a team that has to do a ton of active defending and then hit hard and fast on the counter-attack. In that game yesterday there, because we were pressing high up the pitch, because we won the ball 12 times in the Crystal Palace's half, Lindelof and Maguire didn't find themselves in too many situations where they were sort of running back towards their own goal, if you know what I mean. It was the football was being played in front of them. And I suppose every defender would be better in that sense, because it's easier, right? But it just suits their style of play. Some defenders, like, I don't know, Nemanja Vidic or something like that, players like that, they love the battle. They love the scrap. They want it. Bring it. Come on. Let's go. Lindelof and Maguire, maybe they're not like that. And Maguire is more than capable, man. As I said, I think there's going to be a lot of people doing a lot of apologising to Maguire over the next few months. That's my opinion. That's my guess. Because I think his form is now going to steadily improve and increase because we've got the right system, the right coach, and we'll have an element of a control back in our football that we just haven't had there for a while. And what about Varane, eh? What about Varane? Varane's got to come straight back in the team, surely. And Varane in this system, my word. Woo. Geez, that's going to be good. He's going to love it. He's going to suit it so well. So who when Varane comes back in, who are you dropping? Maguire or Lindelof? You let me know in the comments. Big H, you're saying Maguire is all brawn and no brains. He needs a partnership. Yeah. I mean, we saw with John Stones at the Euros, right? They work together. Lindelof and Maguire, we know about their problems exacerbating each other's, right? Their weaknesses being exposed by the other's weaknesses. But we didn't see those weaknesses yesterday because we controlled the game. And maybe it's going to be different when you play people like Liverpool or people like City, other teams who they would prefer to control the football. And maybe that's going to be different, but we don't have to worry about that for the next 10 games because we got such a hell of a great run of fixtures. There's a comment here flying in from Surab, so I'll read this one out for you, buddy. Klopp said Rangnick to United isn't good news for other teams. It was out of respect. He meant every word of it. We should be good going forward. Yeah, man, you're right. He was absolutely spot on, and that's exactly why Klopp was scared. And Mr. Rossi, you're saying I've been Maguire's biggest critic this season, but his passing was superb. He looked very composed. Everybody looked composed for sure. If I go down here and I look at the comments here, let's see who you think we're going to be playing. Drop both of them, Sam, Varane, and Bayer. I don't think we'll be seeing that. Stu Backer, you think Maguire? Okay, looking at the comments here, majority of you think Maguire's going to be dropped. I don't think he will be dropped. Or I apologise about the lava lamp not being straight. I think you're right. I'll get that sorted. Jesus, Sam. So abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Let's have a look here. Comment flying in from Steve on Facebook. Good morning to you, Steve. At the moment, we have a period in January of 9 days without a game. If that's what happened after 1 day's training, keen to see what could happen after that period. Hey, Steve, man, I'm just keen to see what can happen against Young Boys when we've got a couple of days training. I'm keen to see what happens against Norwich after a week's training. Because United, if we're trying to pick a hole in the game yesterday, right? Let's try and pick a hole. Because we always want to improve. First 45 minutes, total dominance, total control. The first 15 minutes of that second half, either we didn't have the energy to continue that pace that we showed in the first 45, or we just took our foot off the gas and we settled into a different rhythm. Either way, that first 15, 20 minutes in the second half, Crystal Palace had far more of a foothold in the game. And I think that's because we took off. Now, obviously, when it comes to Rangnick's system, which is going to have a higher tempo and a higher intensity, there will be drop-offs. And if there aren't drop-offs, there'll be injuries. And that's going to be a bit of a concern, but that is why he has to rotate so much. We're in the period now where we get 3 games, a game every 3 days. Bang, bang, bang. We play Young Boys on Wednesday, bang. We play Norwich on Saturday, bang. That's what it's going to be. So the fitness levels is going to be interesting to see how the players cope coming over the Christmas period. But what a start, man. What a start that was. Jeez. Let me see what you're saying in the comments here. Sim, you're saying the difference yesterday was chalk and cheese. It shows how unfit these players have been. Sack the fitness coaches. They've been incompetent. I think the fitness coaches would have just been working on very, very individual plans rather than a sort of collective team plan, if you know what I mean. And I know you have to have individual plans when it comes to fitness in the modern day game, because as Rangnick has been explaining the entire way through, it's much harder. The demands on a professional footballer now are so much more significant. Back in the day, you could go out, get tanked, have 8 pints of Guinness on a Friday, come out on Sunday and maybe score a header. But you can't do that anymore. Not in the Premier League. It's simply you have to be an athlete. There's far more of a requirement for a professional footballer now to be an athlete rather than just a footballer, if you know what I mean. And that's different. And what you're saying, I'm concerned about the Cavani news. that he wants to leave in January, as does Donny as well, that will leave us really short. What do I think? I think I don't personally think Cavani would leave in January. Just my gut instinct, and that's all I'm saying on that one. I mean, I think he's been linked to Barcelona, isn't he? I've seen that. I don't know. I think he's going to be excited about this system at United. I think he probably want to see it through. Maybe I'm wrong in that one. But when it comes to Donny, we just don't know about Donny, do we? Donny has always been very professional, very, very good. But he's going to reach a point in January, right, where it's going to be a proper decision for him. Because he'll be like, finally, there's a manager here at the club who I think I can actually probably thrive under. I'm going to get game time here. But then he's going to be like, well, you thought that about Solskjaer, and then what happened? You haven't played at all. So it's going to be hard for Donny to decide. Maybe the club will have to help him. Maybe Rangnick will bring him to one side and actually explain that to him properly. And he doesn't strike me as a man who will sort of go against his word. Nick, good morning to you, buddy. Ilanga over Jesse and Tony. Is that a message or not? As far as I know, Jesse and Tony were both injured. I think Jesse hurt his ankle, I believe. And Tony, I don't know, he was up celebrating his 26th birthday. Yes, 26, by the way. We've had it for 8 years. My God. Nah. Is it 2003? 7 years. Van Gaal bought him. My God. Jeez, I was just surprised by his age. Pranav, do you think we can hope for 30 points out of 36 in the next 12 league games? Why not? Why not? Yeah, look, I could never have possibly hoped for a 1-0 clean sheet, control and dominance against Crystal Palace yesterday. And we go and do that. A team like Manchester United should be looking at our next 10 fixtures and going, you know what? Yeah, I'll have a slice of that pie. Because let's have a quick look at them together. I'll pull them up on screen. 1 second. There you go. Zoom in a bit. So we've got, there you go. There's 6 of them. We've got Young Boys at home, Champions League, dead rubber. Norwich City away. They're definitely better under Dean Smith. But again, you've got to be looking at that and going, right, you got to back United. But that's tough. You're playing 2 promoted teams, both away, both evening kickoffs. The atmospheres will be decent, both at Carrow Road. And I can't remember the name of Brentford's new stadium. But Brentford, again, that's going to be a tough game. I would say those 2 are probably 2 of the toughest that we've got coming up. Because that's pretty much as tough as it gets. Because after that, you've got Brighton at home. You've got to back United. As good as Graham Potter's side have been this season, they've stagnated somewhat. Newcastle away. They're crap. We've got to beat them. Burnley at home. You've got to back United to beat Burnley at home. Wolves at home. Wolves are not the team that they once were. You've got to back United to do that. Steven Gerrard's Villa, that's a bit more difficult. I'll be honest, they are playing pretty bloody well. Steven Gerrard is, as much as it hurts me to say it, Steven Gerrard is a good manager. And Steven Gerrard clearly is somebody who is going to go on to be a very good manager. And it bloody annoys me to say that. But yeah, Aston Villa. Then we've got West Ham at home. And then we've got Burnley away. And then we've got Southampton at home. And then we've got Leeds away. And then the games start cranking up. And then it goes crazy. And look at March. My word. Whoop, whoop. Anyway, don't have to go to March. But look, if you're looking at those games that we've got there, United have got to be turning the screw there. And I'll do a video, actually. I'll see when I can get that video done as well. I'll do a video with my predictions for the next 10 games. Maybe I can get that done after we play Young Boys on Wednesday. Oh, it's busy. It's busy time at the moment. But look, keep firing in your comments now. If you've got any questions, things to ask me that I haven't spoken about in this stream this morning, you let me know. As always, I try to make it genuinely an interactive live show where you can get involved. I do read your comments out. If you're a member, like Takeoff, like Ant, like plenty of you down in the comments as well, like Mo, how you doing, Salim? Good game yesterday. Long time didn't, our back high up the pitch, didn't, sorry. Long time didn't, sorry. It was still work to do for the next fixture and winnable and awesome for Rangnick to implement his tactics. As I said, if you're a member, you get your comments read out as a priority. And I always say this, we're doing giveaways galore. Where's John Ewan, by the way? John Ewan, if you're watching, John, you won the Ronaldo shirt at the weekend. You've got 1 week to claim your prize, sir, because if you don't, I'm going to have to do a rollover and we're going to have to give 2 of these away on Friday, like we did a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning one of these every single week, join as a member, either on YouTube, hit the join now button, or on Facebook, hit the support now button. And you also get access to the private WhatsApp group. Jeez. Let's have a look. George, greetings from East Africa in Tanzania. Do you see Pogba in the 4-2-2? I've said that. I've said that I didn't think Pogba had any sort of place inside this system underneath Rangnick. I might have been wrong when I was saying that, because you can clearly see that inside a 4-2-2 system, if on the left-hand side of it, Paul Pogba would have the time of his life. He would love it there. If you're looking at players playing in their best positions, Paul Pogba playing in that role, that would be his best position. But somebody who also played fantastic yesterday, that's Diogo Dalot. What was your opinion on Diogo Dalot's performance? I thought he really, really did well. He's done well for the last couple of games now. It's not as if that was his first game where he's impressed. And he's played Aaron Wan-Bissaka out of the team now, isn't he? He has played him out of the team. And I don't really know how Wan-Bissaka is going to get back into it, because I'm a big advocate of playing players on form, right? And if you're looking at players on form, Diogo Dalot absolutely is bang on form right now. And inside, there you go, at Bar saying the comment there that I think a lot of you are thinking, inside this system, Dalot might suit it more than Wan-Bissaka. He really was fantastic. He really was fantastic. I think he deserves a lot of credit for how he's playing. Some of the passes he was doing, the reverse pass to Rashford for the Arsenal goal that he squared to Cristiano Ronaldo. Diogo Dalot's impressed, man. Really impressed. He's clearly he's fought for his opportunity, man. He's really stuck at it, because Wan-Bissaka was effectively undroppable for so long. He's gone out on loan. He's come back with a bit more experience. And if looking on form, as Orr says, Dalot and Telles both deserve to be played. And that's what you want, man. That's what you want about your squad. You want strength in depth. Dalot and Telles are technically our backup fullbacks. On paper, anyway. Yet both of them are our first choice fullbacks now, because their form has overtaken Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. That's what you need in your team, man. You need in your squad 2 players in every position. When you have that sort of strength in depth, you can really properly challenge across multiple fronts. You can put out a team in the Premier League that you can win a game, and also 3 days later in a huge Champions League away game, you can also put out a team that is fresh because you can rotate between. That's what United have not been able to do for a long time. We're very much reliant on a starting 11. But Dalot, yeah, man, I'm impressed. I'm happy. I think he deserves to stay in that team right now over Wan-Bissaka. And if Wan-Bissaka does come back into that team at any point, Wan-Bissaka's got to come back in and take his attacking level up, because Dalot is coming and setting the bar somewhere else. Because the thing that's always been criticised about Dalot, if we go back to the Villarreal horror show that Dalot had in that game, defensively all over the place. Looked like he was a drunk defender. Defensively yesterday, he was sound as well. And when you're defensively sound and you can you can add something to the attack, that's what a modern day I actually personally think the modern day fullback has to be the hardest position in football, surely, because the amount of running they have to do constantly up and down, because they want to run forward and be involved in the attack, but as soon as you lose the ball, you've got to sprint back to your position and make sure you're not caught out. Dalot's great. He's shown that in the last few games. I'll be interested to see what happens. I think Wan-Bissaka will probably, let's be honest, he should start against the young boys, because right now he's second choice. So let's see how Wan-Bissaka plays against young boys. Maybe he can. Wan-Bissaka is capable going forward. He's just not as confident. When it happens, I think he really has to think about it and really has to focus on it. And sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. So Dalot feels a bit more natural, a bit more instinct with him rather than Wan-Bissaka going forward. That's what I think anyway. Let's go down here. Chris is saying, totally agree. Both have played themselves into first team contention. Wan-Bissaka can still tackle better than anyone, but doesn't have the confidence going forward. What I said there, man, it's not really a natural instinct. And when things are natural and you do things by instinct, you don't think about it. Just happens. And that's what Rangnick's trying to do with the pressing system that he's implementing here. It will give us injury updates, says Mayor. Injury updates, I don't think there are particularly anything right now. All we know is that Pogba is out until, I believe, around the Christmas time, if not a little bit more. And Varane, that's the one we need an update on. Maybe we'll see Varane against young boys. I don't know. Alex Noir, good comment here. Would you rest Ronaldo against Young Boys? You type yes or no in the comments. You let me know whether you think Ronaldo is going to be rested. And I absolutely would 100% leave Ronaldo in the sauna. Why would you start Ronaldo in that game? You're already through. You're top of the group. I know Ronaldo will want to start so he can get more Champions League goals, but from a club perspective, Ronaldo, you enjoy your day off, mate. Go and have a bit of sushi. Go and sit in the sauna. Relax. Chill. Our work is done. That's what I would do anyway. Warren saying Dalots has had to do more on the right flank because Bruno and Sancho were both on the left flank for the most of the game, so he performed very well. He did perform very well, and he deserves a lot of credit. Ronnie needs to rest. Josh, you're saying he needs to get rested, mate. If he doesn't get rested, I'm going to be so surprised. But Nick, as you say here, no, it's the Champions League. He has missed the Champions League, and I guarantee you he will ask to start that game. But if we're being honest, what is best for Manchester United? Ronaldo needs to be on the bench. Don't leave him out of the squad, right? Don't leave him out of the squad. And if we aren't, I don't know, just don't use him. Just let him just sit there. Ronaldo, I don't think Ronaldo will get too angry about it. The hard work's done, man. And this is a game where this is a mad month we've got coming up. So resting Ronaldo, he absolutely should be. Young Boys is the perfect game to try other players, says Mo. Hey, look, Elanga. Elanga is the perfect example here of what our youngsters can expect this season under Rangnick. The opportunities will be there if they can apply themselves in training, right? Elanga impressed in only 1 or 2 sessions. He gets his first Premier League minutes of the season. Anybody else, whether that, obviously James Garner's out on loan, whether that's Amad Diallo, whether that's Ted and Mengi still out of Derby, I don't know. There's youngsters coming through. Hannibal Medjugorje is one that we're going to be excited to see when he comes through. We're pretty stacked inside that at sort of attacking midfield position. The comment, oh look, Alan. Good morning to you, Alan. Welcome aboard to the United People's TV member gang. Let me know where you're watching from, buddy. I think you've already been a member before, actually. I do remember your name. But yeah, nice to see you on board this morning. Well, mate, I'm sure you've seen my match reaction, but I was staggered by the amount of change that we saw between Arsenal and Crystal Palace. The exact same starting 11, playing like a completely and utterly different team. That sort of level of control and composure, I haven't seen that from Manchester United at Old Trafford in years. That's what made Old Trafford a fortress. That sort of performance there against Crystal Palace, where you're watching United going, well, at some point United will score. It is absolutely inevitable that United will score. And that's what happened. And we did. And we won 1-0. And what a goal it was as well. Ooh, Fred. Donny will play more forward ball in this style of play, says Simroy. I think Donny will get plenty of opportunities now. I would like to see him stay. I really would. And I think now you can see a path for his career. And I tell you what, the idea, something that will definitely 100% will be playing on Donny van der Beek's mind is the fact that as it stands, in my opinion, it's a straight 50-50 between TenHOG and Pochettino becoming our next manager. Now, do you know how pissed off Donny van der Beek would be if he left Manchester United and then TenHOG became our manager? He'd be like, you've got to be kidding me. So I think that's something that definitely will be playing on his mind, because that's an ideal situation. If Donny stayed and then his former manager from Ajax came in. Boy. So look, it would be crazy for Donny to leave now, says, or I'd be surprised if he did. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just he's waited this long to try and get his opportunities. I think to leave now would be, I don't know. The system suits him. Rangnick will play him more, and it's highly likely that TenHOG might get the job after as well. You're saying the revolution has just started, so we watch and we pray. Yeah, we do, man. Woo. Bruno and Ronaldo should be rested. Van der Beek and Cavani should start if fit. Mate, there you go, man. You're looking at a set of players here, a squad, dropping Bruno and Ronaldo and bringing in Van der Beek and Cavani. And that's the sort of thing that champions can do. Actually, Young Boys says, and could be perfect for Rashford to find his form again, providing he isn't actually injured. Maybe Greenwood and Martial start them too. Maybe Elanga's going to start. Maybe you're going to see Bailly start in defence. I don't know. There's going to be options, and there will be changes, and there should be changes. And I think not that they're going to be wholesale. I don't think it'll be like a 10 in, 10 out, because when you make that many changes, it's very hard to keep some sort of consistency. I think the likes of, I think Fred will start that game. I don't know who else will. Probably Maguire will start that game. There will be elements. You keep a spine when you rotate. You should always keep a spine. I think it's kind of the same thing as every. It is what it is. Thomas, I might said that Carrick is a snake and had something to do with Ollie out. I regret that. What a legend. He deserves a tribute video. Carrick was never a snake. Carrick never did anything to try and get Solskjaer sacked. He was just a man who was out of his depth and wasn't able to turn around the momentum that was going against Solskjaer. And clearly he did a very good job in those 3 games. Gary, good morning to you, my friend. And Viva Ronaldo, indeed, my mate. Hey, look, I'll give you another couple of minutes now. You fire in any more questions and opinions you have this morning. This stat is the one that I'm going to be thinking about all week long. This is just the impact there, man. Absolutely impact there. Winning the ball back 12 times in the opposition half. Most we've done it since Fergie. Wow. That's such an immediate impact. And it kind of goes to show you that the players were ready for it, man. The players, for him to have the impact there that he's had so quickly, means that players were already sort of semi-thinking in that mentality. It's just the fact that they've been coached correctly that they've been able to execute it so quickly. If they weren't even doing any sort of pressing or any sort of idea of pressing, it wouldn't have been possible for Rangnick to have the sort of impact he had straight away. But they were already, as I said, walking towards that direction. It's just that they didn't have the right coach to set them up correctly to do it and execute it. And that's exactly where Rangnick came in straight away. Ian saying, hi, Sam, would you sell some Ronaldo shirts? I'd love to. I'm really apologizing, Ian, actually, because you've asked me a couple of times. I will reply to your email. I've had it on my to-do list. I will reply to your email this morning. Sam, you should do a collab with Statman Dave. Good old Statman Dave. I don't think I've done a collab with him before. Everyone pester Statman Dave. I think I asked him for a collab a while ago, and he ghosted me. I'm sure he will do a collab. Why not? Sam, I want a refund. You never read my comments. Good morning to you, Gary Cole. There's your comment read out. Of course I do, man. I read as many comments out as I possibly can. Carl, you're saying, will we win any trophies this season? If so, which one? Mate, it's obvious, man. Well, as we've seen yesterday, you may as well give us a Champions League trophy now. And if we fancy it, we'll probably go for the FA Cup too. But we're going to be focused on Champions League. So you may as well just hand us big ears now. Simple as that. Alan, morning to you, my friend, saying, what do you think will happen to Pogba when he returns? I think Pogba will come back in and Pogba will do an Adebayor. And by that, I mean he'll put himself right in that shot window. I think he will definitely shine under Rangnick. I can't see anything but that. And as I said, it will definitely happen because it's a situation where Paul Pogba has to put himself in the shot window. So I don't see anything apart from Pogba shining, and that can't be a bad thing for Manchester United. It will probably be a situation where Man United fans get frustrated because we're going to be then losing him for free. It is what it is, man. That's what happens when you let contracts run out. Mick, am I wrong in thinking we were buzzing when Ollie took over? And it's the same again under Ralf. Hey, Mick, you know what happened in that game against Cardiff. You know the sort of my reaction to that game, the 5-1 against Cardiff, was very, very different to my reaction to this game here against Crystal Palace. That 5-1 felt like Man United had been trapped under rubble for so long, and we just couldn't move, and we were trapped. And then Solskjaer came in, and it was just this big release, just like this release of pressure, taking the straitjacket off. That's what that game against Cardiff felt like, that 5-1. That game there yesterday against Crystal Palace, but mate, we had just won against Arsenal like 3 days before. We weren't a club obviously we were a club that were in a bit of a tailspin prior to those 3 games, but we had just beaten Villarreal, drawn away at Stamford Bridge, and then we beat Arsenal. So to go from that to where we went now, it feels different. It felt very, very different. Yesterday was like methodical. Yesterday was like scientific. It felt like a process. It felt like you were just watching an experiment, but an experiment that everybody practiced and they kind of knew what they were doing. That's why it felt different for me anyway. So I wouldn't personally compare those 2 situations. Let's have a look. Sam says Van Giuseppe last. I like that name. 4-2-2 suits everyone in the team. Requires constant rotation. It does. As I said, I'm really looking forward to doing I'm going to do a video either today or tomorrow, looking into the 4-2-2 and what Rangnick said about it, and then applying it and taking effectively him explaining the formation that we're going to be using this season. and that's going to be an exciting video. First clean sheet at home since April, says Victorium. Good morning, Victorium. How you doing? Still not a member. Where you been, eh? Unbelievable. Most passes into the final third this season. 1 possessions 12 times, most since Fergie left. Hey, look, it was a cracking one. It was a cracking one. But look, I'll wrap this one up for today because I've got to prepare for an interview that I'm having in half an hour. Not me having. I'm interviewing someone. I mean, who the hell would want to interview me? That'd be boring as well. But look, thank you all very much for joining in this morning, as you always do. I'll be back here later today with that video I'm going to be doing on, hopefully, some insight and some exclusives on who his coaching staff is going to be. That's what the interview is about. Spoiler alert. Then tomorrow, we've got the starting 11 video for young boys tomorrow, but I want to do the video on the pressing system. I have no idea. There's going to be plenty of videos coming out, though, all week long. So make sure you subscribe if you're new to United People's TV. Thank you all very much for joining in this morning, as you always do. My battery is fixed, or I swear to God, right? My laptop was plugged in yesterday, but for some reason, it just didn't fancy charging. So I'm actually taking zero responsibility for that yesterday, although technically it was all my fault. But look, thank you all very much for joining in this morning. Have a cracking day. Have a cracking week. And it's nice to go into the week feeling like this, eh? Up the Rangnick Reds indeed. Old Ralf Angel over there. What a bloke.